I am now going to discuss the Module 4, which is the receivable management. The learning objectives for this module is for you to be able to understand the concept of accounts receivable management, explain the credit selection process, and the quantitative procedure for evaluating changes in credit standards, and also to review the procedures for quantitatively considering cash discounts, other aspects of credit terms, and credit monitoring. The second component of cash conversion cycle is the average collection period. Pag sinabi nating average collection period, this is the number of days wherein receivables are collected. Now, average collection period has two parts. The first one is the time from the sale until the customer mails the payment. Okay, so mula dun sa pagkabenta ng produkto hanggang dun sa pagbabayad ng customer. And then the second one is the time when the payment is mailed. So, kumari, minail nga yung payment until the firm has collected funds in its bank account. So, kasi 'di ba, mayroon pa rin yang mayroon pa rin yang gap sa days. Okay? Kasi kung in-email nga yung payment, maaring hindi agad dumating. Or dahil online na tayo ngayon, pwede rin namang ini-transfer from bank to bank. Pero may mga cases kasi na hindi agad nakikredit sa bangko ng pinagbabayaran yung amount na dineposit. So, mayroon pa rin gap na time. Okay? So, those are the two parts of average collection period. Now, managerial controls require proper management on liquid assets and inventories. So, napakahalaga nito dahil kapag hindi na manage ng maayos ang mga ito, mawawalan ka ng working capital or mawawalan ang isang negosyo ng fund na ginagamit para makapag-operate ang business on a day-to-day basis. Now, efficient use of financial resources is very necessary in order to avoid financial distress. Kasi nga 'di ba, napakahirap kapag dumating sa point na ang isang negosyo ay wala ng fund na magagamit para ma-sustain ang kanilang operation. So, the concern is required to allow credit sales in order to expand its sales volume. Bakit ba nagkakaroon ng credit sales? When we say credit sales, these are sales on account. Ibig sabihin, pinautang mo si customer, hindi mo agad siya siningil. The reason is for the expansion of sales volume. Kasi 'di ba, kapag pinautang mo ang isang produkto, mas marami kang mabebenta kesa sa cash mo siya ibebenta. So, yun naman na kasi, subok na yan, na strategy. Yun nga lang, may mga concerns dyan. Ito, after the credit sales has been made, so nabenta mo nga, masaya ka, ang dami mong sales. Yun nga lang, yung sales mo, on account. Diba? So, because of that, actual collection of cash may be delayed for months. Kasi nga, di ba, binenta mo siya, pinautang mo siya. Naubos nga yung produkto mo, pero wala ka namang cash. So, these late payments stretch out over time. They may cause substantial drop in the company's profit margin. Because of that, maaring bumaba ang profit margin ng company. Now, since extension of credit involves both cost and benefit, the firm's manager must be able to measure them to determine the ultimate effect of credit sales. Okay, so kaya nga kailangan dyan ng analysis kasi dapat pag tataas ka or mag-i-increase ka ng credit sales, okay, dapat meron siyang positive effect on your profits. It means that there will be an increase in the profitability which will offset the cost that will be incurred for that strategy. Kasi nga, di ba, kapag ka pinautang mo, hindi mo agad makukuha yung cash. So, meron yung cost na incurred. Okay. Thus, receivables constitute a significant portion of current assets of a firm. Totoo yan. Pag talaga, even me, sa mga company na pinagagawa ko ng financial statement, napaka-significant ng portion ng current assets ang receivable. Kasi hindi talaga maiwasan na sa isang kumpanya ay magpapautang. Because nga, pag nagpautang ka, tumataas talaga significantly ang sales. So, yun nga lang, there is a risk of bad debts also. When we say bad debts, these are receivables that are not collected or cannot be collected. Bakit? Kasi maaaring hindi mo na makontak yung customer, maaaring lumipat na ng ibang lugar, so wala ka ng paraan para pa makolekta yung pautang mo. Okay, kaya investment in funds in accounts receivable involves trade-off between the profitability and risk. So, kailangan mo siyang balansehin. Diba? Kasi nga, diba, tataas ang sales mo, but then there is a risk of bad debts. So, thus, the higher probability of bad debts, even it previously increases the sales. So, dapat nga ma-trade-off mo kung malaki ba yung probability na hindi ka makakakolekta ng utang. Kahit na tumaas pa yung sales mo, kung ang probability naman ng bad debts ay mataas, sa tingin ko, hindi ka na dapat magpautang. So with the rapid changes in technology as well as global competition, businesses tend to sell more on account. Various credit terms extended to customers sometimes would make the difference among competing companies. Kasi nga, di ba, napakatindi na ng competition ngayon. Kaya talaga, marami sa mga company ang nagbebenta ng kanilang mga goods on account. Now, how can we manage accounts receivable? So, there are different kinds of collection techniques. Collection techniques, bakit tayo nagfo-focus doon? Kasi yun yung goal ng yun yung goal ng company. Na kapag nagpautang ka, you will be able to collect your accounts receivable. That is the objective for managing accounts receivable. Ayan, collect accounts receivable as quickly as possible without losing sales from high-pressure collection techniques. So, accomplishing this goal encompasses 3 topics. The first one is credit selection and standards. The second one, credit terms. And the third one is the credit monitoring. So, credit policy consists of 4 elements. Ito, ma-attain natin itong goal na ito if a company has a credit policy. The first one is credit period. What is credit period? It is the length of time buyers has before they must pay for their purchases. For example, you have to pay it within 1 month. So, more or less, meron ang customer na 30 days. Number 2, cash purchases discount. This is the reduction in price to encourage prompt payment. Kasi nga, di ba, para makakolekta ka ng mas mabilis, ang ginagawa is nagbibigay ng cash purchase discount. Okay? So, kapag binili mo ng cash, di ba, napapansin nyo yan, nag-offer sila ng installment. Pero, meron din silang cash. Na kapag binili mo ng cash yung product, you will get a certain discount. Or kung hindi mo man bilhin yung product ng cash, you will get a certain percentage of discount kapag binayaran mo siya sa mas maiksing panahon. Number 3, credit standards refer to the minimum financial strength of acceptable credit customers. So, hindi lahat ng nangungutang ay pinapautang kasi nga meron tayong tinatawag na credit standard na dapat ma-meet ng mga credit customers yung certain qualifications or minimum financial strength para ma-approve ang kanilang credit. And then we have the collection policy. This is the firm's toughness or laxity in following up on slow-moving paying accounts. Ayan. So, sana familiar na kayo with the credit period at yung tinatawag natin na credit term. Pero, ano pa man, ipapaliwanag ko pa rin. So, credit term and discount allowed when combined, they are called credit term. Combination ng credit period and discount. Usually, ang credit term is expressed sa ganitong paraan. 2, 10, and 30. So, ano ang ibig sabihin nito? The customer will get a 2% discount if he will be able to pay within 10 days. Ayan. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng 2, 10. Ang ibig sabihin naman ng M30 is the customer has to pay within 30 days. But if nagbayad siya within 30 days at hindi naman niya nabayaran within 10 days, ang babayaran niya na is the net amount or the undiscounted amount. The following are the cost of maintaining receivables. The first one is the cost of financing receivables. Now, when goods and services are provided on credit, then concerned capital can be used by the customers. Kasi di ba pag pinautang mo nga, yung cash mo, yung fund ng company, mapupunta siya dun sa receivable. So, wala kang magiging cash. Now, the receivables are financed from the funds supplied shareholders for long-term financing and through retained earnings. So, the concern incurs some cost for collecting funds which finance receivables. Ayan. Kasi nga, di ba, para makakolekta ka, may incur ka talaga na cost. Meron ka talagang magagastos dyan. Kaya meron tayong cost of financing receivables. So, another one is the cost of collection. Okay, pag sinabi din nga pala natin cost of financing receivables, kasi di ba para makapagpautang ka, dapat i-have enough fund. So, ang ginagawa ng iba, ibang mga company, kumukuha sila ng additional investors. Pero, syempre, pag may investors ka, those investors are nag-expect sila ng dividends. So, yun yung cost sa pag-finance ng receivable. Ngayon, kung wala ka namang investors, ang pwede namang gawin is mangungutang, di ba? So, alam naman natin, pag nangutang ka, you will incur interest expense. So, that is the cost for financing the receivables. The second one is cost of collection. So, to properly manage the receivables, it is essential na magkaroon ka rin ng proper collection. And in order to collect, diba, you will incur cost for that. Kasi diba, you will pay for some persons to send collection reminders, diba, magpapaalala, and also from time to time, mag-i-issue ka ng statement of account to remind the customers of their outstanding balances. So, sa mga ganong actions, nakaka-incur ka na doon ng cost. And they are called as collection cost. And then number 3, bad debts. So, ito na nga yung na-mention ko kanina, when the customer failed to pay the amount due towards them, ang tawag doon ay bad debts. Kasi nga hindi na makolekta. We also have the credit selection and standards. So the firm uses a credit selection process to determine if credit should be extended to customer. Diba? So pag nangungutang ka, there is a process. So credit standards are the firm's minimal requirements for extending credit to customer. And now, the credit manager should use yung tinatawag natin na 5C of credit para malaman, para magkaroon ng analysis of a customer's credit worthiness. The first one is character. So you have to see the character of the applicant. Paano mo yun malalaman? By looking at his past record of meeting financial, contractual, and moral obligation. Yung iba pa nga, di ba pinapa-CI pa, pinapa-imbestigahan pa kung ano ba yung character nung nangungutang na yon. The next one is capacity. So, pag nangungutang ka, hihingan ka ng, kung ikaw ay negosyante, hihingan ka ng financial statement, or kung ikaw naman ay empleyado, hihingan ka ng certificate of employment or your payslip, para malaman nila if you have the capacity to repay the requested credit amount. And then the other one is capital. The applicant's financial strength measured by ownership position. For example, sabi nung client or ng customer, siya ay isang negosyante. So, ang titingnan naman ng magpapautang dyan is, ano ba yung negosyo niya? Meron ba siyang sapat na kinikita from the business para mabayaran yung uutangin niya, and also hihingan niyo ng financial statement to see the profitability ratio. Ayan. And also the ownership position. Kasi baka nga sabihin niya, may business siya, pero hindi naman pala siya sole proprietorship. Maganda kasi pag sole proprietorship ka, you have the 100% ownership of the business. Pero paano kung it is a corporation or it is a partnership? So, aalamin, ilan ba yung percentage of ownership mo dyan? Kasi the higher the percentage of ownership is, the higher the part on the profit is. Diba? So, pagka mataas yung percentage of ownership mo, mataas din yung share mo dun sa profit ng company. And the number 4, collateral. Ito yung kadalasan na hinihingi, di ba? Pag may nangungutang, hinihinga ng collateral, which is the asset available to secure the applicant's credit. Pwede itong titulo ng lupa o kaya naman ay sasakyan. Number 5 are conditions. So these are the current economic and business environment as well as any special circumstances affecting either party to the credit transaction. So, syempre, may mga conditions din yan para mag-grant yung credit. Now, there is a method used in order to analyze if the increase in credit sales is necessary or will produce profitability. Ang tinatawag itong credit scoring. Credit scoring is a credit selection method commonly used with high volume, small amount credit request. So, ibig sabihin, maliit lang yung amount pero marami. There is an illustration here wherein RCR is currently selling a product for 10 pesos per unit. Okay? Ang sales daw last year is 60,000 units. The variable cost per unit is 6 pesos. So the firm's total fixed costs are 120,000. And now it is currently contemplating a relaxation of credit standards. Kasi napansin siguro nila na hindi enough yung 60,000 units. So, ang gusto nila, madagdagan yung number of units na mabibenta nila. At ang strategy na nakikita nila dito is to relax the credit standard. And this will be the result. The first one is a 5% increase in unit sales. Ang ibig sabihin nito, if last year 60,000 units yung nabenta nila, this year magiging 63,000. And then an increase in the average collection period from 30 days to 45 days. Kasi nga, di ba, magkakaroon sila ng relaxation of credit standards. That's why, ang collection period nila ay tataas din. Kung nakokolekta nila before, within 30 days, ngayon, 45 days na. And then there will be an increase in bad debts expense because magkakaroon nga ng relaxation of credit standard. Previously, it is 1% of sales, but now it will be 2%. Now, there is an return on equal risk investment, which is the 15%. Ayan, this is the opportunity cost of tying up funds in accounts receivable. Because fixed costs are sunk, when we say sunk, kumbaga sa isang ship, pag lumubog na, you cannot recover it anymore. Now, fixed costs are costs that are already incurred and therefore, it is considered as sunk cost. Kasi di ba nagastos mo na siya, hindi mo na siya pwede pang ma-recover. Therefore, if fixed costs are sunk costs, they are unaffected by a change in the sales level. Ibig sabihin, kahit pa tumaas ang sales level, hindi sila apektado. Okay, tatandaan ninyo sa analysis na ganito, ang kino-consider lang natin kadalasan is the variable cost because variable cost increases as the volume increases. Now, sales are expected to increase by 5% or 3,000 units. So now the first step is for us to compute the profit contribution per unit. So how can you compute the profit contribution per unit? That is the difference between the sales price per unit, which is the 10 pesos, and then the variable cost per unit, which is the 6 pesos. So therefore, the profit contribution per unit is 4 pesos. Now, in order to compute the additional profit contribution from sales, you just have to multiply the 3,000 units increase. Kasi nga, di ba, from 60,000 magiging 63,000. So therefore, there is a 3,000 units increase by the profit contribution per unit, which is 4 pesos per unit. Now, the additional profit contribution from sales will be 12,000. Okay, looking dito, kumbaga, it is appealing kasi ibig sabihin, ang profit pala ay tataas by 12,000 kung magkakaroon ng relaxation of credit standards. Now, in order to determine the cost of marginal investment in accounts receivable, below is the formula. The first thing to do is to compute the average investment in accounts receivable, which is the total variable cost of annual sales divided by the accounts receivable turnover. So what is the accounts receivable turnover? This is the number of days in a year divided by the average collection period. If you can recall, dun sa problem natin, it is stated that before 30 days ang collection period, but now it will be 45 days. Okay. The next one is to compute the total variable cost of annual sales. How can you compute it? By computing both of the present and the proposed plan. So under the present plan, there is a 6 peso variable cost times the 60,000 units. So the answer is 360,000. And under the proposed plan, that is 6 pesos times 63,000 units. So that is 378,000 pesos. Now, you also have to compute the turnover of accounts receivable. So under present plan, that is 365 days divided by 30. If you can recall yung na-mention ko kanina, 30 days yung collection period under the present plan. So, the turnover of accounts receivable is 12.2. While under proposed plan, di ba, from 30 days magiging 45 days, that's why this is 365 days divided by 45, so that is 8.1. Now, we have computed na yung mga variables na kailangan natin sa formula. So, mako-compute na natin the average investment in accounts receivable. So, under present plan, that is 360,000 divided by 12.2. And then, under the proposed plan, that is 378,000 divided by 8.1. So, the next step is you have to get the difference of the average investment under proposed plan, which is 46,667, and then the average investment under present plan of 29,508. So there is a difference of 17,159, and that difference is the marginal investment in accounts receivable. And then after that, you have to multiply that by the required return on investment, which is 15%. This is already given in the problem. So the cost of marginal investment in accounts receivable is 2,575. As you can see, there is a positive difference between the proposed plan and the present plan. So, pag titingnan nyo to, ang magiging decision ninyo is to relax the accounts receivable or the credit standard. Kasi nga, kikita pa rin yung company. Now, the resulting value of 2,574 is considered a cost because it represents the maximum amount that could have been earned on the 17,159. Yun yung na-compute natin dun sa una. Okay? Here is the cost of marginal bad debts naman. If you can recall sa problem, under the present plan, the percentage for bad debts is only 1%, but under the proposed plan, it will be 2%. Now, we have to compute how much will be the cost for the increase of bad debts percentage. So, under proposed plan, that is 0.02 times 10 pesos per unit, that is the selling price, times 63,000 units. So, always remember that bad debts are multiplied sa accounts receivable. That's why 10 pesos, which is the selling price, yung ginamit natin. So, that is 12,600. And then, under the present plan, that is 0.01, which is 1% times 10 pesos times 60,000 units. Now, there is a difference of 6,600. So, ang ibig sabihin ng computation na to, under proposed plan, ang magiging bad debts mo is 12,600. And then, under the present plan, you will get a bad debts of 6,000. So, therefore, tumaas yung bad debts mo ng 6,600. Okay? Now, kukumputin na natin, magkano ba talaga yung magiging effect ng pag-relaxation of credit standard. So, in order to do so, we need to compute first the additional contribution margin. Actually, this is already computed dun sa first solution natin. And that is 12,000. Okay? So, sabi daw, pag nag-relax ng credit standard, magkakaroon ka ng additional profit na 12,000. Pero hindi yun matitigil doon kasi nga, nagkaroon ka nga ng additional profit, pero nagkaroon ka din ng additional cost. So, para malaman natin what is the net effect, we need to subtract the additional cost doon sa additional contribution margin or profit. So, this is the next computation. Di ba nakuha na natin yung cost of marginal investment in accounts receivable kanina? Ito na yung computation, inulit lang. The cost of marginal investment is 2,574. And then if you can recall, we also calculated the cost of marginal bad debts, which is 6,600. Now, these two amounts, these two costs, you have to deduct it from the 12,000. So, para mas ma-imagine nyo kung paano, lagay natin yung 12,000 dito kasi nandun siya sa kabilang page. Okay, so we have here the 12,000 pesos. Now, these two amount, kaya siya naka-closed in parenthesis, ibig sabihin, these are deductions. Okay, so 12,000 less 2,574 less 6,600. So the difference is 2,826. So this is the net profit from implementation of proposed plan. As you can see, there is a positive effect on the relaxation of credit standard. Though hindi masyadong malaki yung amount, but ang pinag-uusapan is positive yung magiging effect. The company will not be on a deficit by relaxing its credit standard. Okay, the next topic is credit terms. I have already discussed this dun sa unang mga slides. Diba? When we say credit term, ayan, ito yung example niyan, 210 net 30. So, hindi ko na siya i-elaborate pa dito, ha? Okay, next, number 1, sales would increase positively affecting profit. Okay, kasi nga 'di ba kapag nagkaroon ka ng credit term, ibig sabihin nagbigay ka ng discount dun sa mga customers na makakapagbayad within 10 days. Okay. Ibig sabihin yung sales mo, it will increase dahil nagpautang ka. So pag nag-increase ang sales, what will be the effect on the profit? It will be positive. Ibig sabihin, mag-i-increase din yung profit mo. Number 2, bad debt expenses would decrease, positively affecting profit. Ito naman, pag nag-decrease naman ang bad debts expense mo, syempre, yung profit mo mag-i-increase. Kasi 'di ba, ang expense binabawas yan sa sales. So kung mababa yung expense mo, yung profit mo magiging mataas. So positive effect din yan. The third one is the profit per unit would decrease as a result of more people taking the discount, negatively affecting the profit. Yun nga, dahil nagbigay ka ng discount, ang mangyayari, i-avail nila yung discount. And because of that, yung discount na yun, ibabawas yun sa sales mo. So the effect would be your profit will decrease. Now, there is an illustration here of Oka Company having an average collection period of 40 days. Now, kinumpute na agad yung AR turnover, which is 365 days divided by 40, so that is 9.1. The credit term is net 30. So, this is divided into 32 days until the customers place their payments in the mail. Okay? Kasi hindi naman lahat nagbabayad within 30 days. Kaya may allowance pa na 2 days. And then 8 days to receive, process, and collect payments once they are mailed. So medyo medyo old school yung yung illustration kasi nga ngayon hindi naman na masyadong gumagamit ng mailing pagdating sa pagbabayad. But the same pa rin naman yung magiging process if magbabayad bank to bank kasi meron ding mga cases wherein hindi agad na pa-process or nagkakaroon pa rin ng gap na araw. Pero hindi naman ganito kahaba. Okay, usually mga 3 days lang. But for the illustration sake, ganito yon, 8 days daw bago ma-receive, ma-process at ma-collect yung payment. Now, OCA is considering initiating a cash discount by changing the credit term. Before kasi net 30 lang yung credit term nila. So ngayon, ang gagawin daw nila, magkakaroon sila ng 210 net 30. Which means they will give 2% discount to those who will be able to pay their accounts within 10 days. Now, because of that, the firm expects this change to reduce the amount of time until the payments are placed in the mail. Okay? So, mababawasan yung time na hihintayin nila. The average collection period of 25 days. Yan. Kung mapapansin nyo kanina, ano yung average collection period? It is 40 days. Pero ngayon, magiging 25 days na lang. So, therefore, the AR turnover will be 14.6. So, from 9.1, it will be 14.6. Now, because of that also, sales would increase from 1,100 units to 1,150 units. So, there is an increase of 50 units. OCA also estimates that 80% of its customers will take the 2% discount. That's why selling price per unit, which is 3,000, okay, and then the variable cost per unit is 2,300, and then there is an opportunity cost of fund of 14%. Ito yung mga variables or mga information na kailangan natin in order to analyze the situation. Now, here is the answer. Additional contribution margin. Always, take note, ganun pa rin naman lagi yung, yung process kung paano natin mako-compute, kung paano natin ma-analyze. Magsisimula ka lagi sa additional contribution margin. So, kanina na-discuss ko, there will be an increase of 50 units. Now, you have to multiply that by 3,000, which is the selling price, less the variable cost of 2,300. So, the answer is 35,000. Now, the next one is the cost of marginal investment in accounts receivable. Okay, di ba kanina may mga given doon? The average investment daw without discount would be 278,022. Pag naman daw may discount, it will be 181,164. So the difference is 96,858. And then there is an opportunity cost of 14%. That is given in the problem. So multiplying the 96,858 by 14%, the cost of marginal investment will be 13,560. The same process pa rin ito kanina dun sa illustration. Then the next one is to compute the cost of cash discount. So the cost of cash discount is the 0.02 times 0.8 times 1,150 times 3 per 3,000 pesos. Ano yung 0.02? That is the percentage of bad debts. Okay? So that is 55,200. Now, the net profit from the proposed cash discounts. Anong napansin ninyo? It is negative. Now, if that is the result of your analysis, what will be your decision? Will you continue giving 2% discount or continue the investment without discount? Okay, so looking at the computation, syempre, obviously, ang magiging decision mo dyan, ako, malulugi pala yung company. So, wag na lang mag-discount. But then, gaya nga ng sabi ko, there are several factors or conditions na kailangan pa rin i-consider in making decisions sa mga ganitong bagay. Okay, the next one is the credit monitoring. So what is the credit monitoring? This is the ongoing review of the firm's accounts receivable to determine whether customers are paying according to the stated credit terms. Kasi di ba minsan kapag masyado ka ng maraming customer or kliyente, minsan hindi mo na talaga monitor. Minsan marirealize mo na lang, meron ka palang kliyente na isang taon na hindi pa rin nagbabayad, 2 years na hindi pa rin nagbabayad. Okay? So, there should be a constant credit monitoring para at least malaman mo, monitor mo sino ba yung mga hindi nakakabayad or gaano kadami ba yung pautang na masyado ng past due. Now, there is a technique that are used in order to monitor the credit, and it is the aging schedule. Anong ginagawa sa aging schedule? It breaks down accounts receivable into groups. Okay, based on their time of origin. It indicates the percentage of total accounts receivable balance and that have been outstanding for specified periods of time. So, by looking at this schedule, you will know ilang percentage ba of the total receivable ang ganito na katagal na hindi nababayaran. So, magandang tool ito for decision making. Here is an example of aging of accounts receivable. As you can see here, in this column, it shows the age of account. When we say age of account, it is the number of days na hindi pa rin nakokolekta yung accounts receivable. So, as you can see here, we have 0 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days, and 91 to 120 days. The next column is the balance outstanding. It is the amount that is still unpaid dun sa receivable. And then the last one is the percentage of total balance outstanding. Paano yun nakuha? Ganito lang yan. 80,000 divided by 200,000. So that is 40%. 36,000 divided by 200,000. So that is 18%. So, kinukuha mo lang kung ilang percentage ba yun. So, here, makikita mo na akontila pa lang naman pala yung mga over 120 days. Kasi ito over na talaga yung pagiging ito, past due nito. So, 3% pala ng pautang ay past due na. Okay? So, here, madali mo siyang ma-analyze at mamomonitor. Next, credit policy. So, if a firm's credit policy is eased by such actions as lengthening the credit period, relaxing the credit standards, following a less tough collection policy, or offering cash discounts, what will be the effect? The effect is that sales will increase. However, if credit policy is eased and sales do rise, some related costs will also rise due to the following situation. The first one is the more labor, materials, and some other operating costs are required to produce the additional goods. Oo, tama. Kasi diba, tumaas yung sales mo. So, pag tumaas yung sales mo, mas makakailangan ka, mas mag-i-incur ka ng labor and materials para syempre, mapunan mo yung increase ng sales mo. Number 2, the receivables outstanding will also increase. Kasi diba, kapag nag-relax ka ng credit policy mo, dadami ang mangungutang, so dadami din ang accounts receivable mo. And then the risk of uncollectibility or bad debts will be greater, and the discount expense may also rise. So these are additional expenses or costs. Kasi 'di ba kapag tumaas ang bad debts mo, that will be a bad debt expense. At pag nagkaroon ka ng discount, magkakaroon ka rin ng discount expense which is deducted from gross sales. Now, the key question when deciding a credit policy change could be, the first one, will revenue rise more than cost? Lagi nating sinasabi na benefits should override cost. It means, pag nagkaroon ka ng decision, dapat mas mataas yung magiging benefit mo kaysa sa cost na mai-incur mo. Kasi syempre, di ba, that decision, kung mas mataas ang cost mo kaysa sa benefit mo, palugi ka doon. Okay? Causing net income to increase? Otherwise, the credit policy must be changed or another scheme could be studied. Ano, yun yung tanong nga, will sales revenue rise more than cost? Causing net income to increase. Normally, the management constantly introduces changes in credit policy hoping for the results. Siyempre, yun naman ang lagi namang hino-hope ng mga management. Now, credit policies that are integral part of the entire credit cycle. The first one is trade discount. Okay, cash discount can expedite the collection of receivables, but then there is a concern whether they will be able to use the additional funds in order to expedite collection due to cash discounts. The discounts allowed or involves cost. The discount should be allowed only if cost is less than the earnings from additional fund. Yun na nga yung sinabi ko kanina. Number 2, discount time. So the collection of receivables is influenced by the period allowed for availing the discount. Additional period allowed for this facility may prompt some customer to avail discount and make payments. Kaya nga 'di ba sabi natin, pag yung example doon, pag binayaran within 10 days, magkakaroon ng discount. Kasi alam niyo yung 2% discount kapag marami naman or malaki yung amount ng utang mo, malaking bagay na yun ang matitipid mo. So, ang ginagawa ng mga customer ay talagang pinipilit nilang mabayaran yan within 10 days. Another one is credit period. Credit term or length of credit period means the period allowed to the customers for making the payment. Now po, ang customer daw ay magbabayad in time, they may be allowed certain cash discount. And then, number 4, credit limit. When we say credit limit, this is the amount na pwedeng ipautang dun sa certain customer. Based din ito minsan sa capability na magbayad. Okay. So, ayan yun. Ito yung mga magiging effect. Pag daw ang discount rate ay tumaas, ang collection, syempre, bibilis. Accounts receivable balance mo, mababawasan, it will decrease. Therefore, yung receivable turnover mo will increase and the collection period will be shorter. So, pwede nyo na lang yung i-analyze or basahin later hanggang dito sa baba. Now, we have here an illustration. Assume that the following related to the credit policy of XYZ company who wants to make some changes to increase their sales and profit. Ito daw yung present. Present ito. Credit policy. The sales is 400 million. Ang sales term daw is 110 and 30. Paying customers. So ito, 50%, 40%. Na ano nyo ba to? Na-recognize nyo ba to? This is the aging. Okay? So, 50% times 10 days, 40% times 30 days. Ngayon, itong aging na to, pwede rin natin gamitin ito to get the receivable turnover. Okay? So, ang ano daw is 21 days. However, 2% of sales will never be collected. So, ibig sabihin, this is the bad debts. Okay? Coming from the 10% who pays on day 4. Yan. Credit analysis and collection expenses. Yan, 5 million daw. Cost of borrowed funds, 20%. Kasi 'di ba, para nga makapagpautang ka, dapat may enough fund ka. So, variable cost ratio is 70% of sales. So, in order to compute the cost of carrying accounts receivable, ito yon, days in AR times average AR times variable cost times cost of funds. So, that is 21 days times 4 million divided by 360 days, sorry. And then, 70% because that is the variable cost, 70% of sales times 20%, that is the cost of borrowed funds. So the answer is 3.3 million. Now, here is the proposed credit policy. So, from 110, naging 210. Instead na N30, naging N40. So, anong nakita natin? Humaba yung credit period niya, tapos tumaas ang discount. Now, 24 days. Mas humaba yung payment. Yan. Pero, tumaas ang collection expense. However, as a result of a more relaxed collection efforts, 6% daw of sales will never be collected. So, these are bad debts. So, tumaas, di ba? Tumaas siya. Usually coming from, ayun pa rin, the same pa rin yan. As a result, sales will increase by 130 million. Tumaas naman ang kanilang sales. And then all the other items will remain. So, ito yung computation kanina. This is the opportunity cost. Ito yung na-compute din kanina. Diba? 400 million divided by 360 days. Tapos, you have to deduct 21 days from 24 days. And then, this is the variable cost. And then, this is the percentage na given kanina. So, that's 0.2 million. So, here is the, here is the computation. So, we have here the projected income and then the effect of credit policy change. So, nakita ninyo, the gross sales is 400. It is in millions, that is 400. And here, there will be an increase of 130, given yun sa problem. Less discount. So, kanina, diba? So, dun sa present, 2% lang yung discount, gagawing 4%. So, that's why the net sales will be 398 million and then there is an increase of 126 million. Now, there will be also incurred production cost kasi nga, di ba, tumaas yung, yung sales. So, madadagdagan din ang production cost. Here, that is 0.280 and now here is 91. Now, here is the profit before credit, cost, and taxes. Okay, credit-related costs, di ba kanina, given din sa problem, yung cost ng carrying ng receivable. 3.3 million dito 1.6. Ito sige. Para mas malinaw sa inyo, itong nasa gitna na to, this is the difference nitong dalawa. Okay? Lagyan ko lang ng Yan 530, this one, 530, minus this one, ito yun. 130. Kuha nyo. 6 minus 2, that is 4. Okay? So, credit analysis of collection expenses. Ayan. So, from 2, naging from 5, naging 2. So, there is a decrease of 3. Bad debt losses. Naging 32 siya dito, tapos 10. So, nagkaroon siya ng increase na 22. Profit before taxes. Tapos, may taxes na 40%. So, as you can see here, there is a positive increase in net income of 8.7 million. So, what can you analyze there? So, pwede siya. Pwede yung yung proposed na change in credit policy. The following factors affect the level of receivable. Okay, syempre, una dyan, yung type of products and services. Kapag mabenta yung produkto mo, tataas ang receivable mo. Tataas ang sales mo kasi. Existing term with own suppliers, variation of sales peak and slack season. Di ba merong mga produkto na may panahon na malakas, may panahon naman na mahina. Reputation to extend credit terms. Existing credit terms offered by competitors and the size of the company. Ito yung mga yun. Nakaka-apekto ito sa receivables kapag yung mga competitors mo masyadong maraming fund tapos mas relax sila sa credit term. Therefore, yung mga customers sa kanila napupunta imbes sa'yo. So, therefore, maapektuhan yung level of receivable mo. Flexibility. For each business, extending credit is always the name of the game. Diba? Kasi yun nga ang ginagawang strategy ng maraming company para makakuha sila ng mas maraming customer at para makabenta ng marami. Okay? Credit. Yan. Pagpapautang. Kasi pag pinautang mo, sa'yo yun, bibili. Tapos pag maganda pa yung deal mo, sa'yo na mapupunta. Pero, yun nga lang, para makapagbigay ka ng ganong klaseng deal, dapat you have enough fund para i-finance yung iyong receivable. Things and other terms to note in management of receivable. Yan. Ano yung pinakauna dyan? Care. Ibig sabihin, you should be careful in setting credit policies. Kaya nga, di ba, there are techniques na pwedeng gamitin para bago ka mag-set ng panibagong credit policy, kailangan mo muna siyang i-analyze. Kailangan ka munang mag-compute. Number 2, approval of payment terms. Number 3, prepare and bill customer on same day of shipment. Tama yan. Kapag nagbenta ka, i-bill mo na kaagad kasi baka makalimutan mo pa yun. Okay, collection management is efficient, collection is faster. Receivable turnover is higher and collection period is shorter and vice versa. So, dapat talaga kapag nakabenta na, hindi na dun titigil. Dapat constant pa rin yung iyong collection. Maayos ang collection management. Collection. More effort should be devoted on past due accounts, especially balances with large amounts. Tama yan. Tingnan mo yung mga past due na yun ang kulitin mong magbayad. And pati yung mga may malalaking amounts na utang, yun ang i-monitor mo ng mabuti. And then turnover of collection to authorized person by a field collector must be done daily to prevent lapping of collection. Tama. Kasi meron kasing mga collector na nagko-commit ng fraud. Hindi nila agad tino-turn over yung nakolekta nilang mula dun sa kanilang mga customer or kliyente. The provisional receipts or official receipts may be likewise countersigned and dated by the cashier. O, iba yung official receipt, iba yung provisional receipt. Bakit may provisional receipt? Kasi maaari nga, meron kang mga tao na nangongolekta. So, provisional receipt pa lang yung binibigay. Tapos, kapag na-turnover na nila yung nakolekta nila doon sa company or sa cashier ng company, saka pa lang makakapag-issue ng official receipt. Next is discount time. Okay. So, gaano ba haba yung discount time na binibigay mo? So, pag daw maiksi lang yung discount time, kasi kagaya nung example natin, 10 days lang, anong mangyayari? Mag-a-accelerate yung collection. Kasi nga, pipilitin ng mga kliyente, ng mga may utang na makapagbayad within 10 days para ma-avail yung discount. Then, the next one is credit period. These are the entire credit days granted to customer. Now, the longer the credit period is, it will slow down collection. Kasi 'di ba, kapag mahaba yung pautang mo, magiging relax yung may utang. Hindi nila masyadong iintindihin kasi ang katwiran nila matagal pa naman. Okay, credit cap. What is credit cap? It refers to the limitation of credit time in terms of amounts set or imposed by the seller to given customer. So the higher the credit risk of a customer, the lower the credit cap is. Ibig sabihin, kung yung customer mo marami na siyang mga previous na utang, wag mo nang pautangin ng madami. 'Di ba? Kasi nga mataas na yung credit risk dun sa customer na yun dahil madami na nga siyang utang before. Baka ang mangyari, hindi ka na rin talaga niya mabayaran dahil ang dami niya na nga utang. The other one is credit block. is the policy of non-delivery of merchandise to customers once their accounts become past due. Ito yung ginagawa na kapag hindi na naging past due na yung account ng customer, hindi na siya dideliveran ng merchandise. Hindi na siya bibigyan ng new deliveries. Credit class pertain to group of customers to whom merchandise shall be delivered. Okay? So, pwede mo siyang i-classify depending on the income level, on the place of residence, on gender, geographical location. Yan. Changes in a credit policy. So, ito na nga yung kanina, di ba? Pwede magkaroon ng increase or decrease in sales, so variable cost, sa contribution margin, ayan. Changes in collection policy. Yung collection policy, yun yung number of days, di ba? Yung AR turnover, yung number of days na makokolekta mo yung pautang mo. And then receivable portfolio analysis. This is a strategy of spreading investment in receivable over customer base. Okay, so that's all of the discussion for this module. And if there are any questions or need for clarification, you may ask it on our GC para masagot ko rin dun sa GC so that hindi na tayo paulit-ulit ng question and answer. And I will post your next assignment in classroom tomorrow. That's all, and thank you. Keep safe, everyone.